So, in the Brett Kavanaugh situation, we have a third accuser, which I don't really know that she's as much a third accuser as she is a third character witness, because she claims that she herself was sexually assaulted at a point, but it wasn't Brett Kavanaugh involved. What she claims is that she was at several parties where Brett Kavanaugh and a few of the other high school guys were running trains on teenage girls. They're all teenagers, though. Like he was a teenager at the time. They were teenagers at the time. It was the 80s. They were partying. I don't know how I feel about this situation because I have been a part of many a consensual train in my time. But I don't see a train as a particularly big deal. I read the other stuff she was saying, but to me it seems like if you go to several parties where people are running trains, I don't really know what you're doing there after the first one if you're not down. Because I would just be like, okay, well, if they're running trains here and I'm not into that kind of activity and I don't agree with that or don't think it's cool, then I would get out of there. I wouldn't be coming back or I wouldn't be able to say I've been to several parties where something was going on that I didn't either want to be a part of or wasn't a part of. And it's the 80s. So if they're all in high school in the 80s, one, I didn't know people were really getting down like that, especially teenagers in the 80s, but I'll believe your word. But what were they doing? Were they drinking and also doing coke and having that kind of time in the 80s? Because sometimes that'll lower people's inhibitions and they'll do things that they wouldn't regularly do. But does that necessarily mean that it's a rape situation? Like if you willingly do cocaine with people and then your inhibitions drop and you're like, oh, okay, I'll do this, but it's because you're in a different state of mind than you would regularly be in. At that point, does it become rape? Because if you're on coke, you're not like passed out or incapacitated. And if nobody forced you to do coke, because I'll be honest, back in the day when I was partying like that, every once in a while I would do something like coke, or there was in the gay community, speed is more popular. And I have had sex with people that I wouldn't have otherwise had sex with if I hadn't been on those particular drugs. And I can't say that they raped me or took advantage of me. Just one thing led to another. And while I normally wouldn't have had sex with them, my inhibitions were lowered. And sometimes you get horny on some of those drugs. So am I supposed to think that there's no chance that any of these girls got particularly horny? And if they come forward and say that they were raped or sexually assaulted, then I'm, willing to listen to them and believe that. But as long as it's a third party saying this is what I saw, I don't think you can speak for other people and say that this person was getting taken advantage of or this person was being raped when you're not that person. It's like, what if that person is cool with what happened and you're just, because every once in a while you're at a party where there's orgies, threesomes, trains being run, like this is what's happening at the party, and there's this one person that's super judgmental, super prudish, and they're like, oh my god, that's gross. I don't even know how someone can do that. I mean, like, I have way too much respect for myself to allow that. And then they're judging the other people for doing what they're doing. They're especially judging the person that's getting the train run on them, because that's the person that's usually, the one that society is going to frown on. They're the slut, that's going to be slut shamed. But to me, it's like all sex. So like when it comes to me slut shaming or feeling any particular bad way about the people that have been the receiver in any of these kinds of train situations, I usually don't feel that way at all about any of those people. I just feel like different people are into different things. So jury's still out for me as far as this goes, just because this third one, I read the full thing, and I read where in another instance she ended up getting raped, but she says that Brett Kavanaugh and his friend, was it Christopher Judge? I think it was Christopher Judge, that they weren't involved in that, but that they were present at the party. But that gets kind of weird too, because how many of us haven't been around at a party where maybe you didn't even realize that something happened at that party that was, like, I've been at parties where people have started shooting. I wasn't in any part of the shooting. I just know that people started shooting because you heard gunshots and it turned into a whole thing. But it's like I wasn't even connected to any of that. I didn't even know that that was. So I don't know. I don't know where I'm at on this third accuser. I don't even know that I'd call her an accuser as much as I'd call her potential witness. Let me know what you guys think. Comment, like, subscribe. You know the deal. Thanks for watching, and I appreciate you guys.